program to give young people a second chance is having success. That story.
Another major road improvement project underway on Grand Bahama. I'm Joan Davis Rose. Stay tuned for that story.
An international donor assisting with AIDS education on Grand Bahama. That story straight ahead.
The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the 2014 Atlantic hurricane season opens in a matter of days, and the National Emergency Management Agency has been working year-round to prepare for the upcoming season. Committee members kicking it into high gear as they finalize a plan of action for the opening of the season this Sunday, June 1st. Megan Shepard has our top story.
Chairman of the Grand Bahama Disaster Consultative Committee Administrator Alexander Williams says that preparedness never ceased. As committee members were in the process of re-examining the island-wide preparedness plan, experts predicted that this year will be below average in terms of activity, but Williams says this is not a cue for residents to become relaxed.
We take that with a grain of salt, because all you need is one devastation or one devastating storm to pass by. And we are reminded that in 1992 it was a below normal season. But that's when Andrew came. And then the other one was a below normal season when Katrina came. The two most devastating hurricanes. And so we take that, not to let your guard down, but to always be prepared and ready for the unexpected.
Vice Chairman of the committee, Tammy Mitchell, says information was compiled and reviewed from over the past years and explains why it is important for residents to heed the warnings issued by NEMA.
We looked for the vulnerable areas. We looked for the needs in the communities, evacuation routes, and all of that will be indicated in the plan. We also had to look at the surrounding keys in terms of timely evacuation orders for them and what they would need to do in the event of a threat to the island. It was important to do because a lot of our residents, they don't take it serious enough when it's time to move. So because we're now putting these things in an actual plan that we are going to hopefully continue to look at, it's going to speak to why it is they need to move, when it is they need to move, and how important it is to stay tuned to the local radio station for any updates in terms of information.
A number of flood areas were also identified. Mitchell says when evacuation warnings are issued, residents must relocate quickly along with their families and important documents.
The main flood areas, we have identified those, and of course we are fully aware of the Fishing Hole Road. We're aware of the 8 Mile Rock areas where there's vulnerable flooding. We're aware of the Queens Cove area, the Hawksbill area, and there's some going all the way actually out to East Grand Bahama, where we know that you have to, and we know that it's not mandatory that you move, but because of these areas being identified from previous storms, and because if there's torrential rain, they continue to see more flooding.
Administrator Williams says he is confident that the committee is well prepared not only for hurricane season but for disasters in general.
We've gained a lot of experience over the last several years with our joint exercise with the U.S. authorities, with the Black Swan exercise, one of the largest of its kind ever to have taken place. And so, and we have had a number of courses last year that equipped us with a different approach to how we operate the emergency operations centers and so forth. All of this had to be taken in consideration when the review of the plan was taken.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
A number of road projects being carried out on Grand Bahama. The latest redevelopment initiative, which includes an additional lane, is pegged in the thousands as it nears completion. Joan Davis Roll reports.
The redevelopment of this major thoroughfare along Carr Road and East Sunrise Highway Freeport began weeks ago, making it a 5-lane thoroughfare. Now motorists on Grand Bahama have a new lane to take into East Grand Bahama. City manager of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Troy McIntosh, says this new turning lane marks a new turning point for motorists on Grand Bahama.
We've been having significant congestion at this junction, Coral Road and East Sunrise, particularly left turns. So what we seek to do was to improve that by providing an extra turning lane, a dedicated turning lane for motorists going towards Port Lucaya.
Now, tell me a bit about this congestion, and is it an indication that Grand Bahama is indeed growing?
Not probably. I mean, maybe so, but it's mostly the origin destination. People changing their routes, from where they're going. Persons living in the east. I mean, when you're looking into getting into certain parts of town, this is one that goes from north to south, and so this is one of the first major access road that persons are taking, and so we're finding that the demand during peak hours has been significant over the last 3 to 4 years.
This project is yet another investment and redevelopment initiative undertaken by the port in recent times.
About $30,000-$40,000 within that vicinity. Projects like this, and again, it depends on the usually cost depends on the amount of work to be done. The amount of asphalt paving, the amount of base work needs to be done is usually what drives up the cost, knowing that the cost of oil is significantly high.
McIntosh is confident that the creation of this new lane will positively impact the traffic flow into Lucaya and East Grand Bahama. But are you satisfied with the improvements that have been made so far from the Four Plaza to near the school to the Hawksbill? Are you satisfied that those areas are doing what you had envisioned them to do?
Yeah, the intent of particularly Hawksbill, as you know, we've had a fatality at Hawksbill. We've had 2 fatalities at West Atlantic and Ponciana. And so the key thing there was to reduce the speed. We've heard persons complain about the size, but one of the things I want to stress is that Hawksbill particularly, there's a yellow apron around Hawksbill. That yellow apron is called a truck apron. And we had to do that to slow vehicles on the approach. But large 40-foot trailers, their back wheel is supposed to cross that or go over that. But what I've been hearing is a lot of the drivers feel that the 40-foot trailer drivers feel like they need to stay in the pavement. You can't make it around there if you stay in the pavement. It's too tight. And so, like Baleo, it's the same principle Baleo, but the problem is with Baleo, you have 2 lanes. So a lot of the trucks tends to use the center of the 2 lanes to get around. If they were to stay in their lanes, their back wheel will go over that truck apron, as we call it. The same principle was for Hawksbill. If we took out the truck apron, cars will be able to speed right in, and basically you won't achieve your objective, which is to slow them down on their approach.
This latest road improvement is said to be one in a series planned for Grand Bahama, and it will also help to enhance the flow of traffic in these high traffic areas. Reporting for Saturday Network News, I'm Joan Davis-Roll.
In other news, traffic police officials on Grand Bahama investigating a mid-afternoon smash-up. The 2-car collision occurring on the Mall Freeport at the intersection directly in front of the Pizza Hut restaurant. This accident involved a late-model gold Honda Accord and a green Corolla. None of the drivers were injured, but their vehicles were damaged. Traffic officials were seen directing traffic as vehicular flow was brought to a crawl as a result of this incident. Now, police are calling on motorists to drive with extreme caution and defensively. Well, there is a new man at the helm of the Grand Bahama Christian Council. Prominent Baptist pastor Peter Pinder was elected president 2 weeks ago after the entire council's executive board was dissolved. Tonight, he says during this term, he plans to focus on uplifting the spiritual level in the country.
He served as Christian Council president before in 1975 and again in 1976. But Pastor Peter Pinder said he never had any plans to serve again. But when he was approached about becoming president, he sought God and received confirmation that it was time to be at the helm once again in the Christian August body. Now he is on a mission to unite churches throughout Grand Bahama.
We have hundreds of churches on this island. In fact, even me as a pastor do not know many of the pastors, do not know where many of the churches are located. And now that I'm president of the Grand Bahama Christian Council, I have to get to know these pastors, find out where their churches are, and really bring the churches together.
He says unifying the body of Christ is important and adds that training persons in ministry is one way to do that.
I see the opportunity for us to share our resources with each other, our human resources, that is, with each other. So one of the efforts that would be made would be to provide opportunities for pastors, ministers, and other church leaders to benefit from the gifts, the human gifts, the person gifts that God has placed within His church here in Grand Bahama.
While the council has had its share of challenges this year, he believes since the interim board was elected, they have been going forward in the right direction.
We have not seen in a long time the coming together of pastors and church leaders and church members in the way that we came together on May 4th. So that is a good indication of where we're headed. And also, they marched to Calvary this year, attracted many more persons than in recent years. So that's an indication of where we are headed.
On one of the commissions,
he says the council will also focus on the issues affecting families on Grand Bahama. Robert Lockhart will serve as first vice president and Apostle Anthony Grant second vice president. Pinder says he is looking forward to working with this team.
I see the opportunity for us working together to really bring about change, and so I'm excited about that.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues right after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. It was established to give troubled youth a second chance, and tonight, Sabrina Brown tells us that while the program is accomplishing its goals, there are some concerns.
Genesis Academy Program Shore was established some 15 years ago, and Principal Ricardo Major says the institution, which focuses on helping students with chronic disruptive behavior to get back into the mainstream, is having success. However, he is concerned about the way the program is perceived.
We ought to you have a different viewpoint of this program and these students needing a second chance. And in doing that, I think we ought to have the most support from the community, the most support to be able to see how we can help them with these challenges.
Major says they have implemented special initiatives that are helping to reform the young people.
We've got some wonderful programs that have been, persons have partnered with us already. And Ministry of Tourism, we have the Junior Hotelier program that's going excellent. We are getting ready to climax that program. Students will receive a certificate. We've had a number of speakers from all cross sections of the tourism industry and hotel. They've been in here to speak with us. So that program is going well. Our chess program is going excellent. So we've got a number of programs that are going here that's helping the children to reform.
But this veteran educator says support from the community is vital.
The community can partner with us because there are times that we're looking for persons, for students for apprenticeship. We're looking for persons to come in to assist us with technical education. So this is where our appeal is. We're trying to get communities, the community partners involved with us so they can come in and partner us to try to help us equip these students so that if they have to exit, or if the ones that have to exit from here can be able to at least get a job and fend for themselves once they get out of here.
Program Shore can accommodate up to 25 students. Currently, the institution has an enrollment of 13 young people from public and private schools. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Scores of high school students preparing to make the transition to college. Students from the various high schools on the island were able to participate in a one-day seminar and were given the facts about college life. Anna James had some words of advice for the students as the local passport office made a special appeal.
I graduated from BMES and I had about a 3.5 as a GPA. However, when it got evaluated in the States, it barely made the requirements, and I had to actually petition the board of Nova Southeastern University to let me in. So some schools, they do not evaluate it the same. So you have to make sure that your SAT or ACT scores are very high in terms of if that does happen, it balances out perfectly.
The students who are preparing for college, let them know the process for the e-passport and that you won't get a visa in your manual passports. You have to have the e-passport in order to get your student visas. Yes, students are given priority once they have their I-20 forms. we try to get them back within 2 to 4 weeks.
Carol Robinson plans to attend Howard University, and Don Ward enrolled in Holland College for the Performing Arts. They say they found the seminar quite beneficial.
I had questions about when you leave school in the United States. I learned that every time you leave, you have to get your I-20 form signed, or else you'll have to be issued a new I-20 form. And also, I had questions about whether an adult would have to accompany me to my visa interview in the United States, what type of documentation that I would have to carry and present to the embassy, what kind of questions that they would ask me, and all of that. They were able to answer my questions, and it would make my process smooth and my transition into university smooth.
My concerns were the GPA, getting accepted into with the scholarships and the money, having to pay for books and campus and fees and other things like that. But they showed me that I don't have to worry about things like that because I don't want to put all the burden on my parents. So I'm going to make sure I apply for scholarships to help them out.
An international donor is supporting a worthy cause on Grand Bahama. Our Sabrina Brown has the details.
The committee that is charged with AIDS education on Grand Bahama is getting some much-needed equipment. The Red Rose Ball Committee received 20 computers from an international partner ahead of the completion of its resource center in Pioneers Loop.
We are very pleased that we've gotten the donation of some 20 computers from our international partners, P&W Global Mission. This has been in the works for some 2-3 months now. They have been supporters of the Red Rose Ball and the work that we are doing here in Grand Bahama. During their second visit, we took them on the site where our building is being built, and based on what they see we are doing and the vision that we have for our community, they offered us to donate some 20 computers to the building for when it's ready.
Chairman Audette Knowles says once the facility is completed, the computer center will be made available to the public.
It will be available to persons within the community for research, and we'll be having different workshops, and will be open and available to the community at large for any type of research they want to do, whether it's HIV and AIDS, whether it's school work.
Professional Brokers Agency also partnered with the Red Rose Ball Committee in this venture. Luther Burrows says the company is happy to support a worthy cause.
Professional Brokers is a company that we would like to give back to the community whenever possible, and we are happy for the opportunity to assist the Red Rose Ball Committee.
Knowles says the committee is grateful to the public and corporate sector for all of the support, but she says they are still in need of assistance.
We know everybody is not able to actually give us funding, but whatever services you can provide and making sure that some things are done, we are very grateful for that. And today, we want to applaud Professional Brokers for all the work that they've been doing and assisting us service-wise and making sure whatever we need to have import here to Grand Bahama, it's done and done in a timely manner.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Finally, in news tonight, a young business owner is telling his story. He is sharing his secrets to success in the midst of a tough economic situation, and he's encouraging young aspiring entrepreneurs to chart their own course. He went from promoting concerts to managing someone's business to now owning one of the fastest growing beverage stores on the island of Grand Bahama. Young businessman Clavon Duncombe is only 31 years old, but his wisdom as far as business is concerned is one of a veteran. Co-owner of Fluid Factory, Duncombe says he went from borrowing coolers to having a large inventory, selling 6 exclusive drinks at his 3 locations. But the young entrepreneur says starting his business was not easy. The first major issue was finance.
We did not know capital to start the business. Fortunately, we had my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, helped us out a lot with some of the finance, and our family and all help us out. So we basically the business started from basically almost nothing, and then we grew into it. We probably started off about $1,500.
In business, he says, there are many sacrifices.
Most persons see other people doing it and think that they can do it. So they open up businesses not knowing the background on it, not doing their homework, not knowing the expenses. You know what I mean? Some persons you look at, they may be doing good in the business, but they may own the building. So therefore they don't have to pay no rent. All these things you got to look at and take into consideration. When we look at opening a business, we do all our homework. We do our business plan, we do our budget to see if it makes sense, and if it doesn't, then we don't do it.
As Duncombe opens his newest location at the Region Center, he says he has a staff complement of 16, including himself.
I actually work at the shops as well. I put in my 40 hours, and that's what you have to be willing to do. No such thing as a boss no more. You got to be a wake up.
He says timing, a good business plan, and lots of sacrifice is key to success. But he says service is paramount.
In business, you got to try to be different because, this business has been around for God knows how long. So as you come into any new business, you got to try to be different, as well as we strive on customer service. That's one of our key things in our business that we look at, because in reference to the products, you could get it mostly anywhere. But that service, you can't get that anywhere. And that's what Fluid Factory strive on.
Duncombe says his plan is to expand Fluid Factory to different islands in the future.
Stay with us. Megan Shepard has a check on sports when we return.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sports. I'm Megan Shepard. The first Grand Bahama Youth Olympic Games are less than 1 month away. Excitement levels are high for the mock Olympic-style games for athletes 13 through 18. Now, teams will be divided using constituency boundaries, and the trash talk has already begun. The first Grand Bahama Youth Olympic Games will be 5 days of competition in 7 sporting disciplines. Coordinator Wayne Smith says the games are for all athletes from Sweetings Key to West End, and spectators are in for a treat. Now the talent will be divided equally by using constituent boundaries to form 6 teams.
We will be entertaining the best athletes from the entire area of Grand Bahama. We want to make it clear also that it's a school involvement. The phys ed teachers from each of the school will identify the talents out of the school system, pass it on to the coordinators from the various constituencies. I just want to make it unequivocally clear, with no disrespect to no politicians, these constituencies are only made up as a boundary. They are not constituency games by no means to follow politicians. There are constituency boundaries that we are using to separate whether you live east, west, north, or south, or mixed up in the middle.
For East Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Peter Turnquest is already claiming victory. And in the West, Deputy Director of Urban Renewal 2.0, Michelle Reckley, says that the West is where the best of the best hail from. While we have to wait and see which constituency comes out on top, both agree that sports is one of the best avenues to build communities.
We have a number of athletes who've done very well from East Grand Bahama. And so I am sure that East Grand Bahama will represent very well. And we look forward to the competition and to the grabbing 1 or 2 of those scholarships, because not only are we brilliant in sports, but we are academically brilliant.
We are all about young people and making a difference throughout our community. And how best can we do this with our young people other than sports? And that's why it was a pleasure to welcome the Bahamas Olympic Associations to be a part of us and have the use of any of our facilities that they want. It belongs to them because it's not ours, but it belongs to the community. So, we have some very, very good athletes from West Grand Bahama, and we too are expecting to take not one, but both of those scholarships to bring to West Grand Bahama and 8 Mile Rock.
Coordinator Kelly Albury is appealing to residents and corporate Grand Bahama to pitch in and do their part to make the event a success.
For most of them, this is a way out. This is a way to get to the next step, to the next level. So we invite everyone to contribute to this cause. These kids need our help. We have a team that's ready and organized to go with it. And so we just ask that you would just, whatever funds that you have available, corporate Grand Bahama, make them available to us so that we can get this job done.
The games will run from June 25th through the 29th. The Grand Bahama Little League Baseball played on the weekend. The Bahama Pirates stopped the GB Port Authority Lions 16-6 in coach pitch. On the minor league board, the Polymers Lions closed out the Borco Buccaneers 14-zip. In Major League play, the BAC Tigers grounded the Borco Buccaneers 13-1. In the big leagues, the Coca-Cola Zero Lions outscored the BAC Tigers 12-2. 39th annual basketball camp will be played at the Charlie Robbins Basketball Court. It's a June tradition at the Susan J. Wallace Center, and it's for boys and girls ages 7 to 17. Coach Robbins says it's imperative that the young people in the area be given the opportunity to learn and play basketball in a controlled environment.
We have awards we'll be giving out, but our top awards will be given a brand new bicycle that was donated by someone that don't want to be known. He don't want me to say who donated, but we're going to be giving out a bicycle for that number one person, whether it's a boy or girl. And you have your usual best sportsman, your usual MVP, your usual best defensive players. And this year, like last year, we would give balls and trophies.
And that's your check on sports for this Tuesday evening.